The Silver Ferns are hoping to end their season on a high when they meet Australia in the fourth and final Constellation Cup netball test in Invercargill tonight. While the New Zealanders can tie the series 2-2 with a win tonight, they need to beat the Diamonds by at least 22 goals to come away with the silverware. You'd have to say that's a long shot. And they're not the only ones in action, with the Black Caps and New Zealand Breakers also searching for victory. Quite a remarkable milestone in the Breakers coming up, which we'll talk about. But joining us now from our Wellington studio is sports reporter and former Checkpoint producer Denise Garland. Nice to talk to you, Denise.
And you, John.
So, netball tonight, New Zealand. Be lovely to square the series, wouldn't it?
Yeah, they're looking to square the series, but as you say, the cup is, the silverware is sort of out of the question. 22 goals. The Australians would have to have an off day, to say the least, to have the Silver Ferns get on top of them by that much. But they're coming off a 12-goal loss in Auckland. They lost their first game in Sydney by 12 goals and then came back and won the second test in Launceston. So they've proven they can come back from such a tremendous loss. But they do have a task on their hands tonight. They've struggled through the mid-court. They've struggled with combinations. They've been changing things up. It'll be interesting to see what Janine Southby, who this is of course her first season in charge, decides to go with. They've had a lot of trouble with Caitlin Bassett, the goal shooter for Australia, who, even though she missed 9 goals at on the Auckland test, she still got a record 55 goals just
wow.
just from that one game. So They really have to shut her down. But I did speak to Yvonne Willering before the match, and she says that they just need to keep the Australians out of their minds and just focus on their own game.
Silver Ferns should really be focusing not so much on the score. I think 22 goals is unrealistic, because you're actually going to really say then Australia were not up to par, and Australia will want to finish on a high note as well. No, I think what the Silver Ferns need to do is focus on the performance. I think in that last test, and even the Australian, Mick Millimon said so as well, the score did not reflect the game. I thought that really it was a lot closer than the score indicated. So the Ferns really need to focus on their own performance, get rid of the unforced errors, and, basically everyone needs to just stick to the task. On attack, we're hesitant feeding the ball in. So, we just need to be stronger on attack and have that urgency in the game. And certainly the Southland crowd is going to be so for the Ferns that, they should provide any extra incentives that they need.
And another incentive as well for the Silver Ferns is, of course, they're saying goodbye, at least temporarily, to Vice-Captain Laura Langman.
Yeah.
She's been a veteran mid-quarter for them. She'll be playing her 141st consecutive game at that for the Silver Ferns tonight. So they'll be wanting to send her off in style.
Yeah, let's talk about sending someone else off in style. Actually, we're not sending him off, are we? But I think this is one of the most remarkable things I've heard in sport for quite some time. Mika Vukona is playing his 300th match for the Breakers in their game against Sydney tonight. Did he play the first ever game for the Breakers? 300.
He did. He was in that first game in 2003 for the Breakers. He came off the bench. He didn't start, but he was there right from the beginning. He obviously left the Breakers for a wee while and came back then again in 2010. And although it's a record 300 games, he has a few more records already under his belt. He has played the most consecutive games by a Breaker, which was 161, which was between 2010 and 2015. He had some injuries in 2016, which was unfortunate. He's got the most wins by a Breakers player at 171, and he has also got the most rebounds. So he's obviously a significant force.
Remarkable.
And a lot of his fellow players have described him as gutsy and fearless and just dominant and a warrior. And he'll be needing to play at his best to help the Breakers win tonight against the Sydney Kings. The Sydney Kings, although we're quite early on in the season, they are top of the table. And the Breakers have had 2 close matches, 1 win, 1 loss. So they'll need to be putting their best out there in front of the home crowd in the North Shore tonight.
Do it for Mika. Right, just before we go quickly, the Black Caps are playing their second one-day in India. They need to get it on, don't they?
They really do. Obviously, they were well and truly beaten in the first one-dayer. The only person really to fire for the Black Caps was Tom Latham with the bat. India chased down our 190 runs score with 17 overs to spare, and of course that miserable form kind of has continued right from when they lost the Test match series well and truly. Interestingly, Doug Bracewell did say in the lead up to this match that they are confident that they can win one of their 4 remaining matches, which doesn't inspire confidence in myself as a Black Caps fan, but I'll be watching and keeping my fingers crossed.
Denise Garland from Wellington.